CNN contributor fired for tweeting, "The world today needs a Hitler."
Mr. Reagan.
Did you know collagen comes from the ancient Greek word for glue? This is because collagen acts like a glue between our cells and our body's organs. It's the main structural protein that forms the protective tissue throughout the whole body, from skin to bones, muscle, tendons, and ligaments. The problem is that the body doesn't produce an unlimited amount of collagen. In fact, our bodies produce about 10% less collagen every decade. Those who supplement collagen often note it's like a fountain of youth. Benefits include loss of wrinkles and pain-free joints. This is why I highly recommend Ageless Multi-Collagen from BioTrust. This multi-collagen is a scientifically backed collection of the highest quality types of collagen that our body needs for thicker hair, more youthful skin, healthier nails, pain-free joints. It's flavorless, odorless, and it dissolves quickly. I take this because of the joint issue. I actually have a problem with my joints. I've had it since I was about 14. This is a problem for me. If I want to stay healthy, I take collagen. I highly recommend it for you as well, especially if you're getting up there in age. Like, I'm 41. Some people may think that I look young. Maybe it's partly, at least, because of this collagen stuff. I don't know. But I take it, I like it, genuinely believe in it, and if you don't believe me, you can look it up, the benefits of collagen. It's been highly researched, and it's universally appreciated throughout the medical community. Look it up, collagen, very helpful. And according to the script that they sent me, many users who did not have success with other collagen supplements report that Ageless Multi-Collagen from BioTrust works great for them. This is it right here. I do take it. This is a closed package, but I do have opened ones, obviously, because I do take this stuff every single morning. I'll get my favorite multi-collagen for 51% off, or by going to healthwithreagan.com. That's healthwithreagan.com, or click the link in the description below. The world today needs a Hitler, and you may be wondering exactly what he's talking about. Is it as bad as it sounds? Oh, yes. He's talking about eradicating the Jews. Okay, so let's have a look here. Anti-Semitic contributor is fired by CNN for posting "The world today needs a Hitler" 7 years after his first praising Nazi leader, or after first praising the Nazi leader. Let's see here. The guy's name is Adil Raja. He's a freelance contributor. A CNN contributor has been fired after tweeting "The world needs a Hitler" in response to the growing violence between Israel and Palestine. In a statement, CNN officials said Adil Raja's reporting contributed to some news-gathering efforts from Islamabad. However, in light of these abhorrent statements, he will not be working with CNN in any capacity. Raja, who appears to have worked as a freelance contributor for CNN since 2013, tweeted the anti-Semitic remark at around 2:45 p.m. Sunday, deleting it around 3:15, according to the Washington Examiner. It's just the most recent in a series of anti-Semitic tweets Raja has made over the past years, Twitter users have discovered. 2014, while presumably watching the FIFA World Cup, Raja tweeted, "The only reason I'm supporting Germany in the finals, Hitler was a German, and he did good with those Jews." My God. I know I shouldn't laugh, but it's... Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. I mean, it's ridiculous. You just don't hear people say stuff like this, really. Let's see here. Oh, and he's smoking a cigarette, you know, all sexy like Hunter Biden. Look at that. Let's see here. The world today needs a Hitler, he writes. The only reason I'm supporting Germany is because Hitler did good with those Jews. And he actually wrote "Hail Hitler" in his post. Holy smokes. Raja has been working with CNN, because these don't look like a joke, right? This doesn't look... If this is a joke, okay, fine. He legitimately likes Hitler. Now, again, even though he's a Hitler supporter and he hates the Jews and all that kind of stuff, I'm kind of a free speech absolutist. I think he should be able to stay on Twitter. I think he should be able to post those things. I'm sure Twitter's going to ban him. But let's have a look here. Gosh, Raj had been working with CNN in Islamabad, Pakistan since 2013, according to his LinkedIn profile, and his most recent byline on the news website appears to have been September 2020. He's been working with them until just recently. He's also an executive producer at Pakistani ARY News. In 2016, he won the Agahi Award for Investigative Journalist of the Year, according to his Twitter account. What was he investigating? How to exterminate the Jews? Sorry, this is really not that funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. The Agahi Awards were an annual series of awards for journalism in Pakistan. Many Twitter users have called for CNN to fire him and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey to ban him on the social media site after his latest tweet. Greg Price, social media associate for the Daily Caller, wrote, "This guy has 54 articles under his byline at CNN. They should probably fire whoever does their background checks." Well, that's the issue. That's the issue, right? It's not really that CNN is associated with this guy, because is CNN trying to kill the Jews? No, I don't think so. Does CNN love Hitler? No, I don't think that they do. Okay, this was obviously a horrible mistake. I think that's why I think it's so funny, is like an organization who would obviously find these things abhorrent has hired this guy, not knowing that he is a virulent anti-Semite. I mean, the guy, God, I mean, this is a PR nightmare. But okay, so here's the thing, right? And this is basically why I wanted to look into this story. And we'll go back to the article in a moment. The left, CNN, all those organizations, all those leftist organizations, they're always accusing the right of being bigots, right? We're all a bunch of racist, we're all a bunch of anti-Semites, we're all a bunch of Islamophobes and all that kind of stuff. No, we're not. We're not. But we do look at the world rationally. We do look at the world as it is. Okay, we don't sit here and pretend that black people don't commit crimes at higher rates than other groups. We don't close our eyes to the realities of the world. We don't pretend that there isn't a problem in many Muslim countries of executing gay people, of anti-Semitism, of honor killings, right? Honor killings. We don't pretend that there aren't Islamic grooming gangs in the UK. We don't close our eyes to these things. We recognize that these things are a problem, and we say, okay, how do we fix them? The left says, no. The only problems in society are from white people, and everybody else, that they're just a victim of that white supremacy, that white evil. They even blamed black people beating up Asians. That was a story I did recently on the show. Black people beating up Asians, they blamed that on white supremacy. This is a very weird story. So, okay, so it says here, she writes here, amid the disturbing rise in attacks on Asian Americans since March 2020 is a troubling category of these assaults. Black people who are also attacking Asian Americans. She writes, white people are the main perpetrators of anti-Asian racism. That's actually not true. This is really weird that she writes this. But she has this link here, and I clicked on the link, and it takes you to an NPR podcast in which a woman claims that she contacted somebody from, I think it was the University of Michigan, and she said this researcher at University of Michigan had done a study, and that she'd found that 90% of the attacks on Asians in 2020 were white people. But there's no citation of any kind of research paper, and she doesn't name the person that she contacted at University of Michigan. So there's no way to verify what she said was true. It just seems like something that a random person said on a podcast. And if you look at it online, if you look for 90% of Asian attacks are white people, it all refers to this one podcast. It's the most BS citing ever. It's just absolutely not true. It's just a complete lie that everybody keeps citing this one lie. It is absolutely not true that the main perpetrators of anti-Asian racism are white. It's just not true. But in February of 2021, a black person pushed an elderly Asian man to the ground in San Francisco. The man later died from his injuries. In another video from New York City on March 29th, 2021, a black person pushes and beats an Asian American woman on the sidewalk in front of a doorway while onlookers observe the attack and then close the door on the woman without intervening or providing aid. Well, not only that, but like every single video you see of an Asian attack, it's always a black person. Like, what are they talking? It's never white people. I've never seen a video. I saw one video of a white guy kind of vaguely attack an Asian woman, and they were clearly mentally handicapped. And that's the only video I've ever seen of a white person.
Well, that shooting in the massage salon.
Yeah, but he killed white people too, and I think a Hispanic guy, I think as well. That guy had a sex addiction. But they always refer to that. You're 100% right. That's what they refer to as
there would be one case of white guy attacking Asian.
Yeah.
And the rest of it would be black people attacking Asian. They will still refer to this story
as white. But the thing is, like, that guy in particular, he had like a sex addiction problem. He was trying to get rid of his sex addiction problem, and these are places where he was able to buy sex. I mean, they're like, what do you call them? Brothels. So he was killing the prostitutes at these brothels. He wasn't trying to kill Asians. He wasn't racist. I mean, there was no indication of that whatsoever. But that's what they keep using as the example. Is ridiculous. Let's see here. White supremacy is an ideology, a pattern of values and beliefs that are ingrained in nearly every system and institution in the United States. It's a belief that to be white is to be human and invested with inalienable universal rights, and that to be not white means that you are less than human. That's really not true of anyone I've ever met ever. I've never met anyone who said that if you're not white, you are less than human. I've never met anyone who said that. I've never met anyone who's suggested anything like that. This is one of those bizarre myths that somebody's like, I don't like your group, so I'm going to push thoughts that I think you probably have onto you, despite the fact that there's no evidence that you thought them. You're a white person, so you must be bad, and therefore I'm going to tell everybody that you're thinking these horrible things that you know, maybe you're not actually thinking, but I'm going to tell everybody you're thinking them anyway. This is just pure racism, ladies and gentlemen. This is pure disgusting racism. She says that white people think of non-white people as a disposable objects for others to abuse and misuse. Complete lie. I mean, you can't get more racist than this. You really can't get more racist than this. The dehumanization of Asian people by U.S. society is driven by white supremacy and not by any black person who may or may not hate Asians. What the hell? This is completely like the most convoluted idea I've ever heard in my life. During the pandemic, yellow peril rhetoric that blamed China for COVID-19 led to a 150% rise in anti-Asian harassment. Incidents reported to police in 2020, in particular, East Asian Americans or anyone who appeared to be of East Asian heritage or descent became targets of the misplaced anger of people blaming Chinese people, blah, 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 blah. A fear of disease. White supremacy is the root of racism. As the root of racism, can be seen in the Latino man in Texas stabbing a Burmese family. Yes, white supremacy is the cause of a Latino man in Texas stabbing a Burmese family. That makes so much sense. She writes, in March 2020, claiming he did so because they were Chinese and bringing the coronavirus to the U.S. Though the suspect may have mental health problems, his belief that his family, that this family posed a threat is driven by the white supremacist idea of Chinese people being to blame for COVID-19. Nobody has ever blamed Chinese people, generally, for COVID-19. Certainly the people who are trying to punch out random Asian people and saying, go back home to China, get your diseased self out of here, whatever. Certainly those people think that, but that's a world that's completely removed from Trumpism or conservatism or even white supremacy. I don't even know what white supremacists are even saying about this. I've never heard from a white supremacist talking about the coronavirus or about Chinese people. It's always leftists telling us what white supremacists think. I've never heard a white supremacist interviewed on this. I don't even know. I don't know. But that's what they're telling us. It's all white supremacists. Let's see here. Stories of individual harassment and violence perpetrated against Asian Americans by white assailants don't always get the same attention as the viral videos of black aggression towards Asians. Yeah, because they don't exist. There just aren't any videos of it. I mean, she said there's a couple of videos up here. I haven't seen them. But I assume that she's telling us the truth, that those do exist. But, like, there's tons of videos of black people hurting Asians, and sometimes they're murdering them. So, yeah, it's probably the severity of it that's the problem. You know, that's the reason why we're seeing those videos. But underlying all these incidents is white supremacy. Understanding the depth and reach of this ideology of racism can be challenging, but doing so brings each person and the nation as a whole closer to addressing systemic inequality. It's not black people whom Asian Americans need to fear. It's white supremacy. God, this is just the most, like, even talking about this is ridiculous. Talking about this is ridiculous. This woman, Jennifer Ho, is such an idiot, and her ideology is so completely crazy and convoluted that it's not even really worth mentioning. I mean, I feel stupid talking about it, but this is a real human being who really believes the crap that she's telling us. I mean, this is the woman. This is her story. She's on this webpage called The Conversation. She's written 2 articles. She's from Boulder, Colorado. She's an absolute moron. This is the weirdest thing. She's a professor in the Department of Ethnic Studies. Why would anyone hire such a racist? Just an absolute disgusting racist, but it's absolutely ridiculous. If your black person beats up an Asian person or kills them, it's because of white supremacy. The woman's just completely crazy. The convoluted logic, it makes so little sense. But yeah, so the left is always criticizing the right for being bigots and all this kind of stuff. But we're not. Like, I don't know any conservatives who are bigots. I'm 40 years old. I've never met a white supremacist in my life. I've never met these people that are so prolific in America, apparently. I'm 41 now. Jeez. Anyway. So, but then they go ahead and they hire somebody who is, a total anti-Semite. Like, writing things like "Hail Hitler." That's the kind of person you're hiring, CNN, and you're calling us bigots. And see, this is the problem with the left. They want to say, bring in all the immigrants, bring in all the immigrants, bring them all in here. And they also want to say, but homosexuals are the bestest of all the people, and and trans are the bestest of all the people, and blacks are the bestest of all the people, and Jews are the bestest of all the people, and women are the bestest of all the people. And they take whatever ethnic minority group is most expedient for them at that time, most advantageous for them at that moment, and they'll raise them up and they'll say, these are the people that we like the best right now. And a lot of times that is Islamic immigrants, right? Muslim immigrants. And they don't realize, though, that sometimes immigrants do not share your leftist values, right? They don't share anything close to American values. And that's the issue. And they don't recognize that. It doesn't even occur to them that they should even look into that. They should even consider that. Because if you're of a darker skin tone, then you're good. Then you're instantly better than everybody else. You're an innocent victim. Everything stems from white supremacy, and you're just a victim of it. And then they get into trouble like this. So to me, this is a hilarious irony. Let's go ahead and look at the rest of this story here. They should probably fire whoever does their background checks. Well, exactly. And Craig Stathern said he really likes Hitler. He's written for CNN since 2013. I guess CNN likes to employ Nazis. Yeah, I mean, who hires people who love Hitler? Nazis, right? I mean, they kept calling conservatives Nazis for the last 4 years. I think maybe it's time we return the favor, ladies and gentlemen. A user with the name Politibunny wrote, "Homie's been cashing a CNN check for 8 years." I love that. Let's see here. Well, we can just read some of these tweets here, but Mike Brest, a breaking news reporter of the Washington Examiner, pointed out there are a lot of Hitler references on his timeline with screenshots of every time Raja used the word Hitler in one of his tweets. And that Sherite, I don't know what that means, wrote that FIFA World Cup tweet has been live for 7 years and was only taken down Sunday. One Pakistani woman, Mira Malik, called Raja an embarrassment to Pakistan. And Shay Patrick Cormack tweeted to CNN, "Is this your guy? I wonder what he means by the world today needs a Hitler." Yeah, it's such a cryptic message. What could that possibly mean? We shouldn't demonize, by the way, all of Germany and all of Austria just because of Hitler. I've always found that annoying that, like, a few years, maybe something like a 10-year period there in the 30s and 40s in Germany really destroyed the entire history of that country. Because what is the history of Germany except for the Holocaust and World War II? Do you know? Because I don't think most Americans know the history of Germany at all, except for those years, right? We hear about the history of France, we hear about the history of Britain, we hear the history of a lot of countries. We never really hear the history of Germany because of those few years. And the history of Germany is fascinating. I have since, in my adult life, done some research into Germany. One of the most fascinating countries on earth. They invented the car. They developed the technology, or a German developed the technology for flying. The Wright brothers created propelled flight, but the guy who basically developed the way wings work, right, to get lift, was a German guy. Forget his name. I always forget his name, but genius.
Even as a boy, Otto Lilienthal was interested in the storks he saw in his native northern Germany. Their majestic gliding was the origin of his dream of flying. As an engineer, Lilienthal constructed a measuring apparatus, his rotating machine. He could adjust the size and profile of the surfaces that created lift and their angle of attack. Their investigations showed that most lift could be got from a curved wing profile that was thicker at the front. In this way, Lilienthal became one of the pioneers of aerodynamics. In 1889, his research finally led to the appearance of his book Bird Flight as the Basis of the Art of Flying, a classic of aviation literature. Summer 1891. A small hill near Drewitz, not far from Berlin. The first flight by a human being, recorded by the photographer Karl Kastner.
Genius. He died testing his gliders, and he turned to his brother as he was dying, and he said, sacrifices must be made. What a badass. All right, well, I'm not going to get into it that much more. Good job, CNN. Way to hire people that share your values. And again, like I said, this is the problem with the left, is they turn a blind eye to anything negative coming from anybody, any person of color, as they call them. And every white person is automatically evil. But here's the problem, CNN. Not all white people are evil. Not all conservatives are evil. Not all Republicans are evil. I don't consider myself evil. I don't think I certainly haven't hailed Hitler anytime recently. but your employees do that. You hire people who post Hail Hitler messages on Twitter. So good job. Your policies facilitated that hiring. Your desire to hire leftists or people that you think are leftists around the world has caused this problem. So maybe branch out a little bit. Maybe stop being so narrow-minded in your view of who's good and who's bad, because truth is, you're wrong. All right, guys, that's it for me. I will be back tomorrow. Looking forward to it. I'm going to have some dinner, and then I'm going to work on some videos because, yeah, I got a bunch of videos I got to put out. So, good night.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.